I know what you're probably thinking when you hear a title like that. Everything is my fault. It sounds like just another way for the world to beat you down. Another reason for you to feel powerless when you already feel like a prisoner in your own mind. For most of my life, I would have agreed with you. I went through a couple of major depressive episodes, and my story was that I was a victim to my anxiety and my ADHD, the brain that I was born with. I used to describe it as though I was lost in a dark tunnel and always searching for the light at the end to save me. But my entire life changed when I stopped searching for the light and I realized I had to create it. And that realization starts with embracing this one very harsh but powerful idea. For probably 90% of my life, I felt like a prisoner. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. And the story I told myself was that I inherited, that I was just born with this brain and I was a victim to it. I was cooked. The best way I ever found to describe it was this metaphor I had. I felt like I was stumbling through a dark tunnel and there was no light at the end of it. It was just darkness everywhere, emptiness, and I was just meandering through this void. And that was my mind. I saw my mind as this tunnel, this architecture, the structure, and I was just a guy walking around inside it. I could control my body, I could walk, I could sit down, but I was a victim to the tunnel itself. I had no power to change my structure. And so my whole life became about looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. I was always searching for it, waiting for something external to show up and give me a way out. Because I never, ever thought I had the power to change the tunnel myself. And I think a lot of us live there. We live inside that tunnel, waiting for a lucky break, waiting for someone else to fix things, waiting for the world to finally give us what we think we deserve. We're just searching. But the turning point for me, the thing that changed everything, was when I realized that the whole search was a trap. It happened slowly. It took a lot of battles and I lost a lot of them, a majority of them. But I started to win a few. And the change came when I stopped searching for the light and I started trying to create the light myself. I wanted to become the light. And that's the first thing to really understand about all of this. The way out isn't something that you find. It's something that you have to decide to build. So that leads to this idea, the phrase, everything is your fault. And I know it's harsh. I could say something softer like take responsibility or take accountability, and I'm all for soft approaches usually. But when you're talking to someone who is really in that dark place, those soft words don't work at all. I had teachers, parents, everyone telling me that my whole life, Lorenzo, you have so much potential, you can do this and that, why are you wasting it? And it never did anything because I just thought, okay, either this potential is made up or my brain isn't built to use it. Either way, in my mind, I couldn't do anything about this wasted potential. When you blame the world, you're putting your own fulfillment, the most important thing in the entire universe, by far, into other people's hands. You're giving away your control over your own mind. And I think that's honestly a little cucked. That is the ultimate form of weakness. So when you feel that resistance to this idea, when you feel that anger, ask yourself this question. Do you want to be better or do you want to be a victim? Because you can see other people making excuses and you feel that slight disgust. You know they could do more. You see your large friend reach over for that third large fry and you ask him, why the f*** are you doing this to yourself? And he replies, well, I can't control it. I just have a thyroid problem. You ask your friend, why are you on the 6th cigarette of the day? And he tells you it's a compulsion, it's an addiction. And, he doesn't want to fix it right now, which is what he tells himself. But truly in his mind, he believes that he is stuck. He is in this prison of his own creation and he can't escape it. And when you hear all of these excuses, you know they are wrong. We all know they are wrong. And all I am asking is that you apply that same standard to yourself. True strength is taking full control over your own mind. And that starts by deciding that you're the one at the controls. You're the man behind the levers. And look, this isn't just for big life or death depression stuff. This plays out in small, everyday things. I can actually think of a situation recently. It was near my last days in my first semester in uni, and I had a camera being shipped to me. I needed it for a video I had to film before I left, so I ordered it, I select the weekend delivery, and I built my entire schedule for the last week around this camera arriving in a very, very specific time. And of course, it happened. The delivery was delayed by 3 days. My whole schedule was just... And at the beginning, I had that feeling, what the man? I can't believe these people this up, that immediate external blame. But then I caught myself. I had this very cognizant reframing of it. And I was like, no, you know what, this is my fault. It was my fault for not ordering it earlier. It was my fault for building a schedule that relies completely on other people. The issue was that I trusted other people without having a plan B. This might seem a little masochist, but this isn't about self-flagellation or punishing yourself. Actually, in the contrary, if I just kept blaming the delivery company, I wouldn't have learned anything. Because if it's outside of your control, there's nothing to learn. But by internalizing that locus of control, by saying it was my fault, I learned a lesson. Now I got to make my systems more adaptable. Now I know I have to have a plan B in these situations. Failure is only useful insofar that it teaches you something. And especially in like the self-improvement sphere or whatever, there's this idea of trying to maximize failure. There's this quote that I heard the other day. I think it went, what if I told you that between now and your dream self, your dream job, your dream whatever, there was 100 moments of failure, how fast would you try to fail? And there is this glorification of failure, which I think is completely valid. Failure is really important, but again, failure is only good, failure is only useful insofar that it actually teaches you something, that it gives you an obstacle. When you overcome it, you learn. And you only learn the lessons if you own the failure. So the next time something small goes wrong today, your train is late, someone flakes on you, whatever, I want you to stop yourself from that initial blame and just ask the question, what was my role in this? What's the 5% of this that I controlled? Even if it's tiny, find that lesson for yourself, because that's the only part you can use to actually improve. Here's another example that happened to me just the other day. It was a Sunday, okay? And I'm on holiday mode, so I don't know the days of the week. I only know the days of the month. And I get to the gym at my usual time, just 2 p.m., and I realize the gym closes at 1 p.m. on Sundays. It's so easy in that moment to go, I can't believe they closed the gym that fucking early on Sundays. Why the fuck do they do that? Can't they not find one person to work a little later that day? You know, that external reaction. Why is this happening to me? But I caught myself, and instead of complaining, I said, you know what? This is a blessing, okay? This means I can do more work now. I can go home and not be super fatigued from an insane heavy back day. And since I already left that house, that 30-minute drive there and back, I used it to listen to a podcast that gave me a new idea for a coding project I was working on. And that's the most beautiful part about this. Your life becomes just so much better automatically. It's such a small thing that you can do to the way you perceive the world, not even doing an activity, just the way you perceive something, and your life improves from the jump, instantly. The name of the game is to shift the question you ask yourself. You have to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you have to start asking, what can I do about this? That shift is essentially everything. A frustration becomes an opportunity. A setback becomes a new path. You stop being a victim to the arbitrary nature of reality, and you start being the person who paves the way for yourself, the creator of your destiny. So it all comes back to that metaphor, my depression metaphor. I used to think I was stuck in a dark tunnel and just waiting for a light to appear at the end of it. But I truly found the light when I stopped searching for it and I started creating it. And so I'm not going to lie to you and say this is easy, okay? Because it's not. It's really hard. It took me like a year to figure out. And it's not easy to suddenly switch that way of thinking when you've lived your entire life with an external one. Trust me, I know that again, personally. But what I will say is that it is simple and you shouldn't overcomplicate it. Stop waiting for happiness to fall out of the sky and start creating it. Stop waiting for shit to happen to you and start building shit for yourself. A core philosophy that I have that actually ties into this, and I will talk about in other videos, is the philosophy of small battles win wars. You know, we tend to focus throughout history too on these large battles. You know, my battle with depression, my battle with anxiety, you know, this massive end of your exam. But we tend to miss on the small battles that lead up to that large battle. You know, we get to that final day right before the exam and we think, okay, it's time. Now I'm actually being tested. Now it's time to lock the fuck in and I'm gonna beat the shit. But in reality, what we did is we skipped out and we took little L's every single day that we knew we needed to study, but we were like, you know what? I'll just leave it for tomorrow. Because you kept losing those small battles, you were not capable of dealing with these big battles. And that's why you should start applying this to the little everyday thoughts. I have talked about this in my gym vlogs. If you do want to check those out, the card will be at the top of the screen right now. And if you want to see how it works in practice. But ultimately, I'll leave you with this. The the next time you have that itch in the back of your mind, the next time your thoughts default to that external locus of control, stop yourself and think, is this actually not my fault? Because the truth of the matter is 99% of the time you're questioning that you could have done something different. You could have taken steps before, no matter how long before, to fix this issue, to prevent this from becoming a problem in the first place. And the sooner you're able to make that conscious shift from that external locus of control and internal locus of control, and the sooner you can practice that consistently, faster you'll develop that muscle, and the quicker you will find yourself in a position where you realize you actually have control over almost everything. But either way, these are topics for another day. I love you so much. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire video. I hope you like the change of scenery. I hope you like the change of context. And I hope you like the change of pace and topic. If you enjoyed this video, there will be soon a lot more to come. And if you are starving for some content, you can check out my Substack in the link in the description down below for some more systemic analyses instead of just interpersonal ones, whatever. I love you so much. Thank you so much for sticking through, and I will see you next week.